Hello, my name's Darren Wright from Inside Outcomes, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of our Referral Tool app. This is an app we've built to help organisations improve referrals. It works on the assumption that people are quite complex, the problems they present are quite complex, there are very few organisations that can help everybody with everything they present with. It's a tool that's very suited towards things like community navigators and social prescribing, because it's there to capture all of the issues in people's lives and identify the most appropriate organisations to refer to. Once we're logged in, you can see that we ask for very little information from clients. This is because this isn't a data system. It's supposed to be a small app that complements your data system, mainly focusing on who you refer clients to. So let me just add a client. The name's the only required thing we have there, but we'll put a postcode in there as well. One I'm making up. Let's make up a phone number as well. And an email address. This is quite important because a report will be emailed to the client unless they request not to. That's all the basic information we need from a client. We click Next. The client's saved, and we're given access to the core of the system, which is the risk map. What we do with this, you can see that this is a very health focused one. What I'm using is a basic health map that I've created for this project. Through disclosure, you would sit down, you would talk to the client, they would mention things that are going on in their life and the things they might want to be referred to other organisations for, things they might want help with. I'll just go through and basically fill this in. So if the client reports they have an issue about alcohol and they would like some support with that, we'll assign that as something that's relevant to them. See, it pops to red if it's something we'll need a referral to later. Say that they haven't had an NHS health check. As you can see, this is a fairly short list here. It looks quite long because we've got guidance on there, but we can also make it smaller if you're aware of what each of these risks and issues actually mean. We'll put financial hardship in there, say overweight is an issue as well. There could also be issues that somebody raises which that are present in their life and relevant to why they're seeking help, but they actually are having help and support with them. So if we say in the case of this person, John, that he is suffering from stress and anxiety, but he's under the care and guidance of somebody else, he might be being supported with that, we'll put that down as being managed. That's just so there is a record of it being an issue, but they don't necessarily need any help or support with it. We'll just add a few more in here as well, unsuitable housing, and let's add some moderate physical inactivity, moderately physically active. Then we go on to the next stage, which is finding out who you would most appropriately refer John to in this case. So here we are, we've generated a quick report for John. We've got his phone number up here so he can be contacted later, the email address this will be sent to, an assessment by, in this case it says health worker, that's because the worker that I've created is called health worker. Normally it would be the name of the person in there, the date that the assessment was carried out, and the issues that people have requested help with. You see, what it does is we've identified unsuitable housing as being something that John might need help and support with. We get a brief description and name of an organisation that might be able to help him. The description helps you decide whether it's an appropriate referral to make. A phone number, a website that you can click through to. If there had been an email address, as you can see with connections, you can click on that and it will open up. They're all active links. So for unsuitable housing, we do actually have 2 people that they could refer to. Financial hardship 2. Alcohol, we don't have any at the moment. And if we go down to the bottom here, we can see issues that are currently being managed, stress and anxiety. We don't have a referral organisation for that because it's already been managed. They don't need information about that. We can press print, send it off to a printer. We can go back and we can add any other things that people might sort of bring up at this stage, or we can click finish. Once we click finish, it asks once again whether the client actually wants this report being emailed to them. You can continue without emailing or press OK and continue. As a matter of course, this report will be emailed to the worker, so they'll have some sort of reference when they're completing their client database later of all the issues that have been discussed and where people might have been referred to, but also to carry out those referrals, because we believe that there is much more to this than just signposting to other organisations. It's also about helping people to make those connections with new organisations, so you can work sympathetically around a client. I will press OK. and that has been emailed. And then we come to a new client. It might be useful for me to show you just what happens underneath all of this. So I will log out as this advisor. Okay, logged in as a supervisor, this is where you can get in and change all of the settings for the system. You can do things like add new projects, add new staff, add new referral agencies. The reason you might want to do that is you might have a number of different organisations that all want access to the same referral agencies, but in many cases they might need different risk maps. The example we showed you there was a health project, but as you can see here we also have an employment project, and their risk maps entirely focused on things like getting people back into employment, and the sort of issues that their clients present might be very different to a health project. But because we want this to work across a whole locality, they still need to access the same referral agencies. You see staff there, we have as many staff as you want to add really, and you can allocate those to individual projects or more than one project. Referral agencies. So when we got the client report there, you could see that there were different referral agencies relating to different types of risks. These are all ones that we've added earlier. They're all made up organisations. If you go into Citizens Advice that we have here, you can see we've got the name of the organisation, the description that allows people to decide whether a referral is appropriate or not. A thing that we've put in here around a review date, this is the date that this information needs to be reviewed to decide whether this is the most appropriate organisation to be referring people to. Some organisations might shut down or they might change the focus in what they're doing, in which case you want to be able to update the information on this data system or possibly remove organisations. As you can see here, we have all of the risks that this organisation, Citizens Advice, is relevant to. So we know from talking to Citizens Advice that they can provide help with temporary accommodation, unsuitable housing. We'll add homelessness in there as well because they probably can help with that, financial hardship. Any of these that are ticked, if they're selected on a risk map, then Citizens Advice will appear as the referral organisation. Just save that to make sure that's in there. You can add as many referral agencies as you want. You can edit them. All of them are available to all projects. What you can also do is customize the risk maps. So we only have 2 risk maps that are here. We've got the Working Well risk map, which has been allocated to the employment project, and the Brief Health one, which was the one that I showed you earlier. If you have a look at Brief Health, it gives you all of the different risks that are available to that map. I can edit the risk map. We could add another risk if we wanted to. Just for example, we'll add in not had a site test. That will now be available on that risk map. In some cases, you might have other risks that are relevant to your organisation but might not be relevant to others, in which case you can have a look at all the risks that we have available here. We have 93 of them. But you might also want to add your own risk, in which case you give the risk a title, the description that's relevant to it, what sort of theme it falls under, so which of the columns that we have there, personal circumstances, behaviour, status, what category, which will just be the box heading, and whether it's grouped together with any of the other risks. Once you create that, then that becomes available on any of the risk maps that you might want to use. As I say, this is not a data system, so we don't have much in the way of reports. What we do have is some reports that help you make the system function properly. We've got a referral agency review here. This gives you a list of all the referral agencies and when their review dates are up. It would also list here any that are out of date, which we don't have any at the moment because this is all new information that's put on there. You find the one that you want to update, click on it, and it goes through to the information that you can just edit. So there you go, this is back to our admin screen. This is our referral tool. We think it's a very quick and neat way of being able to do a whole person assessment of an individual, identify all the range of issues that they might want help and support with, and who the most appropriate people to refer to. We encourage this to be used across a wide area, so the list of referral agencies can be as comprehensive as possible, be accessed by all projects. We encourage where you have your own organisation on here, say you're a Citizens Advice organisation, you maintain this, you identify the risks you're most professional to deal with, you can make sure that your description's up to date, just as all the other people on here would be able to update theirs. But that information is available to all agencies. As with all our software, we make it freely available under an open source license to be used by anybody. You can get it from our GitHub repository if you've got a server that you'd like to run it on. Alternatively, we're happy to host, manage and train people on this and keep it going. My name's been Darren Wright. Thank you for listening.